Anyway, hey, so it turns out I'm not that bright, which is not surprising, given that I wear this bedsheet. Actually, the contest winners are announced at the closing ceremonies, which is at 5 o'clock. Okay, but not until then, because that's like an hour and 45 minutes, one of our guests has offered to come up and do another panel. So, this is the incredible, wonderful John G Hertzler of Star Trek and theater and stage fame, and I'd like to call him on up.
Well, let's be clear about the offering to, I said, well, yes, I'll be happy to come up and talk, but it'll cost you an extra $5. So Jeff, walked around and scraped up the money, and he $4.38. And it was, I said, close enough, all right, fine.
You're topped up, fine.
Yeah, I'll take it too. A couple loony. So before, actually, the judging has already taken place.
That's correct, sir.
So the winners are known.
Yes.
In the various categories. I'm sure there are many categories.
There are many. There are many.
So the tension has got to be intense right now in the
like
room.
A knife.
Yes, I could cut it with a knife. Like butter.
Like butter. I suddenly feel like this is like I'm Ed McMahon.
Yeah.
And you're like,
thank you.
Good sir.
Oh, yeah. Now, Ed. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Have you seen the? I don't know. The sound wasn't on, but it was Conan and his Andy Richter. Are arguing over the car radio. They're driving somewhere, and that finally Conan gets so mad that Richter says, "Get out of my truck! You're in a truck!" And he gets out and drops him off. I said, "What the heck is that?" Because the sound wasn't on. I don't know what the heck it was about. Anyway, anybody have any questions about sci-fi? I just wrote a Facebook post, and I think I lost it before I even got a chance to post it, about how pretty this place is. And I said, it's one of the best kept secrets in the East Coast, I think, that you guys exist. It's incredibly pretty here. And let me see, let's do a travel log. Where have I been?
Yeah, it's a good idea.
I was born 730 years ago in Savannah, Georgia. And I was born in Savannah, GA, so don't give me no crap, because I'll come out there for you. Georgians, we don't fool around. Yeah, that'd be a good fight. And then I grew up in Morocco, and in Wiesbaden, Germany, and Andrews Air Force Base, where the president lands, in Air Force One. And my dad was in the Air Force for 27 years, and my mother was a high school teacher, and she taught Latin, and that's the only reason I got onto Star Trek. Next question.
Question.
Yes, sir.
Prelude to Axanar.
Prelude to Axanar.
Now, I know you were Samuel. I can't remember the exact.
There are fucking stakes on this place. Samuel L. Jackson, that's who I was.
That's what he was, yeah.
It's the makeup.
So I was really looking forward to that movie. What was supposed to come out? I know there was a lot of legal issues.
That was an Irish or an English phrase. The movie, what was supposed to come out.
Yeah.
You have that Newfie phrase as well. You put the what in instead of the that. Is that right?
Yes.
My friend was just telling me she was born in Ireland, but moved over here very young, and she still has a lot of Irish isms and British isms, and she says what, and her daughter always yells at her, says, "It's not what, Mom, it's that." Because they live in this country now. I'm sorry I went there. You have a question about Axanar?
Yeah,
what happened to the movie?
Yeah, the legal issues.
What happened to the freaking movie? Yeah.
Because I watched a 20-minute short film, and
which is wonderful.
It was fantastic.
Yeah. Well, Richard Hatch passed away.
Yeah, I know. Yes, that's right.
And that was an awful loss, and so that. But before that, the lawyers basically drew that out that's often the case. I mean, that's a hard part of it. You're not nearly as litigious up here in Canada as we are in America. It's just, our entire country is run by lawyers. You know, they delayed it so long that if they hadn't delayed it so long with the legal issues, Richard Hatch might have been able to make that movie, which was a dream of his. Anyway, it's a real hard thing because I'm a writer, and you do want to protect your copyright as a writer, as a creator of things. You can't just let people. Problem is, fan films are not commercial enterprises. They're just done. They cost. This one cost a great deal of money. They raised money, put money into it. It was as good and well produced as anything I'd ever done in Hollywood. You know, with all the professional people involved. But they didn't have the permission of CBS to make the film, so it was a legal hassle.
Yeah.
And that was the resolution. They can only make 2 15-minute or to 20-minute pieces following on the same on the Axanar title. So there's going to be 2 more shorts that are added to the current one.
20 minutes they already got that produced.
Yeah. So I don't think that's going to be soluble in my lifetime. It's I don't know how you would solve it because it's
a shame because of the 20 minutes what was they showed the prelude to Axanar. It was so well done, and the story was so enticing that I was like ecstatic.
I know, me too. I could hardly wait. And you're right. And all the actors, Kate Vernon and Richard and Kern, Tony Todd, and Gary Graham, we were so looking forward to it because we loved working with each other. It didn't happen.
Yeah, that's true.
Yes, ma'am.
I was just wondering, you've worked on such a vast number of productions and all across.
I've done 7,426,000 productions. Yes.
Everything from
extremely difficult to stupid.
Yes, well, and also highly produced to like the fan film projects and stuff.
I did do Ultraman. That is on the lower end. I did do Ultraman.
But I was just wondering, do you find that there's a big difference in how you feel things kind of go behind the scenes, if it's a fan film production or even if it's...
Normally I do. Forgive me for cutting you off. But normally I do feel that way because fan films often don't use professional actors in the roles. The fans themselves take the roles, and there is a little bit difference. It's like if you're a bricklayer, you've been doing it for 45 years, you're going to be better than that new bricklayer that comes out. If you're a steel worker or a mechanic, anything. All of us, we had like 400 years of combined experience in movie making, and so that, I think that helped lift it over. Plus, the guy who was the director was Christian Gossett. And does anybody know the graphic novel called Red Star? One person. Well, he wrote that and he did all the drawing in it. It's really phenomenal artwork, isn't it? And he was the director of the Prelude to Axanar. And he did a phenomenal job. But when I walked in, because, you know, I expected to be unimpressed with what was happening. When I walked in on a Friday afternoon, because they shot my scenes over one weekend, there were green screens up over on 3 sides. Green screens are, you know, walls of green material. And 2 tracks, which means like little railroad tracks that the camera can dolly on very smoothly, so you can do a shot that is, you know, does this. And everybody that led every department, from hair to makeup to costume to camera to grips, they were all the people that did the same job on Deep Space Nine and Dark Space Nine. which is probably, that's not a bad title. I had an idea for a good title for a book. It's called Old Business. Wouldn't that be a good title? Just think what you could write about old business in your life. That's old business. They were all first class. They were all the leaders and the union people. And all the people that were working with them, under them and with them, were volunteers. So you had the manpower, the woman power to get these things executed, but you had the professional knowledge to figure out how to do it, So that's why it was so good, I think. Anyway. Yes, sir.
Earlier this year, my mum ran for Parliament in England, and I know that you said that you were running for Congress in New York. She had one major issue that really pushed her into that idea. I was wondering if there was something that really gave you that fire to make that decision to run for Congress.
Was the one issue that your mother had, the strange way that Americans talk when she was campaigning against our abuse of the English language? As Churchill said, America and England are two great nations separated by the same language. Your mother, what was the issue with her? If you can talk about it, it might have been something that's unmentionable.
It's going to be built in England.
A what? I'm sorry.
Railway.
Railway.
It's going to be built in England, which is going to cut through a lot of
working class
environments, cut through marshlands and stuff that's quite biodiverse.
Right.
And so she's very much wanting to conserve that natural habitat.
Well, I'm sort of like that, but I live in a district that's really Republican. That's the problem. There are 11 counties in my district, the 23rd district of the state of New York. I'm running for Congress in the United States. And there are 11 counties stretching all the way from central New York all the way to Lake Erie. And they're very rural, very Republican, tremendous Trump country. And as Trump makes mistake and lie one after another, after another, after another, my hope is that by the time the election comes around next November, not this November, they'll be weakened enough that even the supporters have to say, I don't think so. That's a sort of a scary hope, but I just went away, didn't I? And now I'm back. Yes, I am for three major things. Single-payer health care, like actually you have something like that here in Canada. Is it Tommy Douglas that put that together back in the day?
Yes.
Exactly that.
Yeah, and I want to get us, if we don't start an Apollo-sized program, and I don't mean you, Apollo, but although Apollo-sized would be correct. It's got to be a big program. Apollo, the space program that got us to the moon and back safely in 9 years, when we didn't even have a satellite in the air when we started. Well, we might have had two. There was Sputnik in '57, and then the Americans got one or two up. But because of the political will, we got to the moon and back, one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind, and back safely, and then did it again and again and again and again. Because the political will was there to do it. And if we don't do that same thing for climate change, climate disruption, climate collapse, we're done, in my opinion, in a short order. And I would think that Hurricane Harvey and Hurricane Irma is costing billions, if not trillions of dollars, finally hitting people in the wallet so they wake up. So that's my other thing. Get the get single payer, get an Apollo-sized program to save the climate before it destroys us. And the third thing is get the hell out of the Middle East. I don't believe we should be there. It's been the end of the British Empire, and the British couldn't do it, the Russians couldn't do it, and it destroyed the Soviet Union. They had other things going. And before it destroys the United States empire, we got to get out of there. Because what have we accomplished in 18 years right now? And the money that we're spending, trillions and trillions of dollars. And those things aren't popular among Republicans, and certainly not popular among Trump supporters. But that's what that's what I believe in. Those three major issues. And then there's about 7 or 8 other less vital, but those three alone would change the country. So anyway, yes, sir.
Thank you. We spoke earlier about wind power and what we're doing here, and it was kind of nice.
Right.
Getting back to what you did for a wonderful career, your character Martok, is there a favorite scene or line that you have besides "Thank you on payday"?
No. No, that was it. The best one I had, I don't know, I still don't know if it was actually in the show finally or not. But I remember it was my favorite. Worf was saying, well, that is not the way, that is not the Klingon way, General. And my response was, Worf, anything a Klingon does is the Klingon way. And I still don't know if that was in that show or not. It was I think it was in Fathers and Sons, or Daughters and Sons, Daughters, whatever. Anyway, it was, I had a lot of favorite episodes. Once More Into the Breach was my favorite because I could deal with my own biography. My father was in the military, and he died before he got a chance to see anything that I did in the business of show business. I mean, I was a football player in college, and he would come to the games. But then when I went to law school for a year, got a graduate degree in communications, when I finally decided to switch over from politics. But he never saw me do anything or have any success. I was started with community theater, and I did outdoor Shakespeare forever. And he passed away before I got anywhere in this business, because it takes a long time, and I got a late start. For anybody who's not started and wants to be an actor out there, it's okay. Just keep at it, and
Throw chairs at walls.
And throw chairs at walls and be bold. The biggest thing is, whatever you do, be bold. Tell yourself, I am freaking good at this, and I'm going to do it, and they're going to love it. I'm 67, and I have trouble telling you that stuff for the last 60 years. So it's not easy, but learn to do it. Learn to love yourself and what you do, because it's really important, and it makes the difference. Don't doubt, and if you doubt, overcome it. Anyway, did I answer? What was your question, Mike?
We got your favorite
Best line.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Best line.
Yeah, that was it.
That was good.
My favorite moment, I think, was when the guys wanted to jump up during the wedding and beat the hell out of Worf with those cudgels. Miles and Sid, who never got to do anything like that in the show. They couldn't wait to get up and beat the hell out of Worf. And they kept saying, now? Not yet. Wait, not yet. I said, okay. Yeah! Because Sid, as the doctor, Alexander Siddig, never got to do anything like that, but he loved to hit people. Anyway.
It's hilarious.
Yeah.
I don't know, I have this feeling, I think you should get used to this, that if you get into politics, or you are in politics, but you're successful, I can sort of see like a Senate hearing. You, Mr. Hertzler, have you ever known a Klingon? Like this would be like the
yes, it's like, I do it in my town council now. I say, well, I'm not a human, but I played one on TV. That happens a lot. I can often, even in my minor way, I can often release the tension in a room by making I'm pulling out a fat Apollo joke somewhere. Anyway, yes, yeah. Oh.
I just wanted to say really quickly, just to thank you for being an old white guy politician that I would vote for. Your stances are just,
these old white guy politicians were young white guys who were marching against Vietnam, for one thing, who were marching against Nixon.
Yeah.
There's a counterculture out there that, the music was, there's something happening here, what it is ain't exactly clear. There's a man with a gun over there telling me I got to beware. I say, hey, what's that? How's it going?
What's that sound?
What's that sound? Everybody look what's going around. Paranoia strikes deep.
Yeah.
And, it seems like people forget that we were there. And there's a lot of us that were there, and I hope the hell they come out of the woodwork to say, we're here again, A lot of them are. You see, that lady with white hair gotten beat up at in the Black Lives Matter thing down there in St. Louis. That's killing me. I just wrote a Facebook post about that. I said, Gene Roddenberry, I live in a fictional world of hope created by Gene Roddenberry. And I live in a world of sadness. It's a real world going on right now at the same time. And I said, I hope to God that the verdict, they said, the people say, just read the verdict, you'll understand how that could happen. I said, man, I hope that verdict is magic in terms of me understanding what happened, because I don't see it. And I hope that Gene Roddenberry's vision for the future can manifest and knock out this world of sadness and that we are living in. You guys don't face it as much, but it's my country, and I am not proud. And my whole reason for running is to try to change the political will of my country. And you have to do it one congressperson at a time. That's why I'm running. Our congressman is one of Trump's major supporters, the co-chairman of his campaign in New York State. So it's all bad. And if I can, anyway, that's my job.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of funny, JG, with us being your neighbors to the north, it's we love the United States. We think the United States is like a great country. But I had a talk once with some folks from the States, and they're like, so what do you think about us? And I said, we love you. Like, we love the States. The States is our oldest and greatest friend. But it's like, every once in a while, it's like a friend who starts dating somebody crazy. Yeah. And you're like, what's happening to you, right? And then 4 years later, they're like, oh, why did I ever go out with them? And you're like, you're right. Why did you ever go out with them, right? And that's how I think about the States, right?
Yeah, well, no larger, no more crazier date than we have right now. Whoa.
Yeah. It's like this has been your stable friend who's been married for 8 years, had great kids, great home, and all of a sudden they roll up and they got all these new face tats. They're doing meth, and you're like, whoa, what happened to you? I met a new person. Oh no.
I've been thinking about getting some ink, maybe some Mallory thing for the Congress. Make America sane again on my forehead. Yeah, yes, sir. Do you have a question, or just stretching that arm?
I will give Trump supporters one leeway.
Yes.
I would probably pick him. I would probably pick him over Hillary because Hillary was very shady.
And based on what?
Yeah.
What is the shady based on? Give me 3 examples.
The emails.
Emails?
Haiti.
Well, wait a minute. Weren't there 14 weeks of investigations of those emails by the Republican Congress, and were they not able to find anything? No. What else can you do besides have the opposition investigate you for 14 weeks, testifying at one point for 11 hours? That's even worse than listening to me for 15 minutes. I don't know. I was a Bernie supporter. Let me put it right out there. I think Bernie could have won. But I do believe he was screwed by the Democratic Party. And that's one of the reasons I just changed, after 50 years as a Democrat, my registration to independent.
Yeah.
I'm running as an independent in the 23rd district. Because I don't like the slightly sick party structure that's happening. A lot of bad decisions are being made. But I don't buy the fake news of she was shady, or she was crooked, or she was this and she was that. She was a lawyer who understood the system and understood the penalties for being crooked. And I guarantee you there was not crookedness going on. there was wrong-headedness going on sometimes. I disagreed with her, and she was bad at talking to people. I mean, I couldn't stand watching her with her head bobbing with that smile on her face.
No.
Yes, yes, I'm good, I'm good. I couldn't, she was a bad messenger.
Well, she used to break out the southern accent when she was in the lower states.
Everybody does that. You hear Obama when he goes to the South, suddenly he's Martin Luther King.
Yeah.
Everybody does that. I don't understand it either. And if they had training as an actor, they wouldn't do it because they would know how silly it sounds.
Exactly.
But
Somebody have another question there? Over there?
Yeah, I see Trump this morning post on Twitter again, where he's playing golf and he knocks the golf ball inside Hillary's head. Like, what do you think of Trump's Twitter?
what did he? I misunderstood that because there were too many Newfieisms in there.
Sorry. What was your thoughts on Trump's Twitter account? This morning he twittered again, playing golf and hitting Hillary in the head with a golf ball.
He said that on his Twitter?
No, it was a meme.
I can translate.
I will pass my resolution to the lady from the great province of Newfoundland.
Thank you, sir. No, Trump this morning retweeted an image, an animated image that somebody had created of mashing together two different pieces of footage of Trump hitting a golf ball and then a separate piece of footage of Hillary tripping and falling. So it looks like Trump hit a golf ball, it hit Hillary and she fell down.
Yeah.
It's just another weird thing that Trump is doing on Twitter, basically.
Yeah, what is your thoughts on that?
He's the president of the United States. He has no business doing stuff like that. I mean, that's insanity. Anyway, that's my... yes, ma'am.
If you could have played any other character in Star Trek, even if it was for like a couple of episodes, who would have you?
Martok. It would be Martok. Is there a better character for me than Martok? Martok is a cranky old bastard who, he just does what he thinks is right, and he's a working class, a blue collar. I am so lower middle class in America that I just reek of, jeans and flannel shirts. That's basically it. That's my what's it called? Trousseau.
Tell them where we went shopping Saturday.
Oh yes, we went to the finest, one of the finest haberdashers in Corner Brook, the Salvation Army. I bought a leather jacket that was maybe from the 80s, maybe early 90s. Beautiful condition for $20. Because I thought there was maybe cold weather coming and I didn't bring a jacket. So I said, I can buy. My daughter thinks Salvation Army is Neiman Marcus and Volunteers of America is like Bloomingdale's. She never, she's not a fashion hound. And we don't put any value on clothing. It's not about that. It's as Cyrano de Bergerac said when the you know Cyrano de Bergerac, or Cyrano as the English say, Cyrano de Bergerac. He said that the Count Valvert, Viscount Valvert, said, "You dress like a bumpkin. Where are your ribbons and your bows? Where are your button?" He said, "I wear my ribbons on the inside, Viscount." And then he gets in a sword fight with him and kills him. That's the way it should go down. Yes. Anyway, I wear my ribbons on the inside. And when I switched my registration, I said, you know what? I can't pretend to wear suits to debates and things and presentations, and I have to go to places looking like myself, and I am who I am, and I usually have a straw hat on, which I adore my straw hats, and that's where I'm going to run. And you have to win or lose as yourself. If you try to be somebody else and win, what have you won? And if you lose, you deserve to lose. I decided to be myself and not pose as something I'm not. Anyway, yes, sir. The British, because you're British, you have several possibilities to ask a question.
So in the scene where Worf, in Deep Space Nine, where Worf kills Carver,
yes,
and refuses leadership, and gives the leadership to Martok.
Yes.
Do you think that the Empire would have been better served by Worf accepting leadership?
Lord, no. Lord. No, no, no. Isn't that funny? I have a hard time seeing Worf as Chancellor. As they said in I think the name of that episode was from Malvolio in Twelfth Night. Is Malvolio in Twelfth Night? Shakespearean scholars out there? I think it is.
I think so, yes.
Yeah, he's the old drunk, isn't he?
No, Malvolio is the full of himself butler type who wears ribbons, because he says, anyway, there's a quote, he's reading a letter, some are born great, some achieve greatness, and some have greatness thrust upon them. And that very line, I think, was somehow in the episode. They used a lot of Shakespeare in... my favorite episode is called Once More Under the Breach, which was from Henry V. You know, the St. Crispin's Day speech from Henry V. And the writer, that's one of the things that made Deep Space Nine so good, I think. The writers were Ronald Moore was such a creative, is such a creative man. He later did Battlestar Galactica, the reboot. He did, he writes on Outlander, and Ira Bear, that was the executive producer of Deep Space Nine, helped to create Outlander after the book was written by that brilliant writer, whose name I never can pronounce. Does anybody know it, the woman? I can't remember her name. Anyway, if I can't pronounce it, I tend to just say, oh no, I'll forget that. What was your question? I forget what your question was. I did? Yes. What did I say? No. Okay. Thank you so much. You know what I like about the British is you watch the House of Commons especially. It used to be on, I don't know where it was when I saw it, but you know, the guy, the Prime Minister, whoever can say something, he reads something and blah, blah, blah. And if he's reading it directly, they say, reading, reading, yeah. No reading, reading. Yeah. And then if you stumble in what you're saying, well, I find that the invasion of Portugal was unnecessary. It was not perhaps dithering is dithering. I love that. I mean, if we had that in Congress, it would be so much more fun, you know. Yeah. I think, have we filled our time gap?
Well, we've got time for one more question. One more question.
Is there one more?
There's got to be one more.
What's your favorite visit since you've been here? What's your favorite thing about this visit?
Oh, that's a good one.
The favorite thing about this visit? I met the mayor of Corner Brook earlier. Charles. What's his last name?
Pender.
Pender. He was fun. My favorite, you know, as usual, I think, every 6 years, I get to spend some time with Fat Apollo. And he is one of the most interesting characters in 20 years of conventions that I've ever come across. There were two that I met at the same time, Dracana Muse,
yeah,
and Fat Apollo.
Yeah.
No two people are less alike in this world than Fat Apollo and Dracana.
Oh my God.
But they are two of the most fascinating people I've ever met in this life. So I'd have to say once again, Fat Apollo.
Oh, God love you. JG, you're the best. And I made a promise to JG. I didn't bring enough chocolate bars for him, so I'm on his bad list. I'm actually
outraged.
I'm actually
several cases.
I'm actually sending. He's getting one of the very limited edition. If you've ever seen it, he's getting one of the very limited edition Fat Apollo shower curtains. So we're expecting to see a shower curtain photo. Either clothed or unclothed, JG. But we expect to see that shower curtain photo.
What a brilliant idea. That's an excellent election idea.
Come clean with JG. And you're
Drain the swamp, yeah.
Drain the swamp.
Anyway, thank you guys.
Son of a politician, some usage. So big hand for JG. Thank you. We'll be having the closing ceremonies in just about an hour.